Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Silent Husband Club. We truly apologize for the long break in sharing our stories. From now on, we'll do our best to bring you a new video every single day. Imagine discovering that the people you trusted most, your parents, your brother, the woman you were ready to marry, had been lying to you for years. Not just lying, but plotting together, smiling in your face while stabbing you in the back. What would you do if your entire family turned against you? If this story grips you already, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. It helps us grow and keeps you updated on new stories. My name is Nathan, and for most of my life, I thought I knew where I belonged. I wasn't the shining star of the family. That role was always saved for my brother, Adrian, but I believed I had my place, my worth. I believed love could balance what family favoritism had stolen from me. But I was wrong. Terribly, devastatingly wrong. When everything came crashing down, it wasn't just betrayal from one person, it was betrayal layered, stacked, and multiplied until it crushed the air out of me. My fiancée, Clara, the woman I was ready to build a future with, wasn't mine at all. She was his. My brother's. And the most sickening part? Everyone knew. Everyone except me. My mother brushed it off like it was nothing more than a family reshuffling of chairs. My father spat venom, telling me I was never good enough for her anyway, that Clara was too far above my pay grade. Adrian, of course, wore that smirk, the one he's had since childhood, the one that says I win, you lose. And in that moment, they didn't just take Clara from me. They stripped me of family, of loyalty, of home. But I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't fall to my knees like they probably expected. I stared at them, unblinking, smirking even as my chest burned with betrayal, and I told them exactly what needed to be said. Thank you for showing me who you really are. Now I know who to erase from my life without guilt. That was the night my family died for me. The night I stopped being Nathan, the forgotten son, and started becoming someone else, someone they would one day regret underestimating. For 8 months, I vanished from their little world, and in that silence, I planned. Now, as I tell you this story, my phone won't stop buzzing. Messages from my parents, calls from Adrian, even pitiful attempts from Clara. They are desperate, pleading, begging me to pick up. And for the first time in my life, I'm the one holding all the power. But to understand how it came to this, to see why their voices now sound like chains rattling against steel, you need to go back with me. Back to where the first cracks appeared, when doubt whispered through my gut and shadows began to fall over what I thought was love. It began with something small, something I almost brushed off as nothing. Clara had always been close to my family, too close sometimes, but I never thought twice about it. I wanted to believe her kindness was genuine, that her laughter with them was the sound of belonging, of building roots. But then came the subtle changes, the little cracks in the surface that only someone in love would notice. Her phone, once left casually on the couch, suddenly became an extension of her hand. Constant messages, endless notifications, her thumbs tapping like she was writing the script of a secret life. And every time I walked in, the screen would flip, vanishing before my eyes as if it had something to hide. I remember one evening vividly. She was sitting at our small kitchen table, half smiling at the glow of her phone. I leaned against the doorway and asked, half joking, "Who are you texting with that kind of grin?" She rolled her eyes, annoyed, and muttered, "Relax, Nathan. It's just a group chat." But the way she said it, the quick snap of her voice, the sudden chill in her tone, it wasn't how a woman answers the man she plans to marry. It was how someone answers when they've already decided to lie. At first, I told myself not to be paranoid. She was stressed. Wedding plans were heavy. Life was busy. But then Adrian came back to Cedar Hills. My brother, the golden boy, the one who could trip over his own feet and still be applauded for grace. He returned like some conquering hero, and everyone, family, neighbors, even Clara, welcomed him like he was salvation itself. My parents hosted dinners in his honor, old friends called just to see him. And Clara? She turned into his personal guide, showing him around the city, laughing in ways I hadn't heard in months. One afternoon, I called her. She answered casually, claiming she was home alone, but in the background I heard Adrian's unmistakable laugh. That sound, carefree, smug, the sound of someone who's never had to pay the price of their actions, made my stomach twist. I wanted to believe it was innocent, that maybe he'd just dropped by unannounced. But the silence in her voice when I asked where she was told me otherwise. She didn't want me there. Then came the photos. Clara posting nights out, dinners, drinks. Not with me, but with shadows that betrayed her. In one of them, barely visible behind her glass of wine, was Adrian's ridiculous red jacket, the same one he had worn since we were kids, as if time itself was stuck on him. I stared at that photo for what felt like hours, my chest tightening, my mind screaming at me to wake up. But even then, I couldn't let myself believe it. I told myself they were just friends, that Clara wouldn't cross that line, not with him. But deep down, the storm had already started. A gnawing in my gut, whispering truths I didn't want to face. I pushed it down, buried it under trust and denial, but it kept clawing its way back up. And little did I know, that storm was about to rip through everything I thought I had, my love, my family, my place in this world. The truth didn't explode in one moment, it dripped, like poison, one drop at a time, until the whole glass was toxic. It was my mother's message that first cracked the illusion wide open. Christmas had always been sacred in our family, a tradition I never missed, no matter how chaotic life became. But this time, instead of a call, instead of the warmth of inclusion, I received a cold, half-hearted text telling me to sit it out. The reason? My presence would make things awkward. I read it 3 times, my hands shaking, convinced I was misinterpreting. How could I be the one who didn't belong? I scrolled through the family chat, hoping for clarity, but found only betrayal staring back at me in black and white. My father and Adrian playing peacemakers, as if I was the problem, as if I was the one stirring chaos. Clara messaged me separately, her words clipped and hollow. I'm sorry, it's for the best. I called my mother immediately, voice cracking with disbelief. She didn't hesitate. Didn't even soften her tone. Nathan, don't be petty. Adrian and Clara are in love now. You need to accept it. My heart stopped. My chest went numb. Those words, said so casually, burned hotter than fire. And then Adrian, smug as ever, chimed in over the phone, his voice dripping with arrogance. She made the right choice, brother. Take the loss like a man. It was like hearing a stranger were my brother's voice. My fiancée, the woman I trusted with my future, standing beside him while my own parents applauded. They didn't even pretend to care about me anymore. I had been erased, replaced, discarded without ceremony. I wanted to drive over there, to rip the mask off their faces, to shatter every illusion they built. But instead, I sat alone, staring at my phone, rereading the messages that gutted me. My father sent me one final dagger, a private message meant to finish the job. You never deserved her anyway. Stop crying like a child. That was it. Not grief, not heartbreak, just an eerie hollowness, a silence that settled deep inside me like ashes after a fire. I walked out of my apartment, shoved my belongings into the car, and drove to a friend's spare room without a word. That night, I typed one message into the family group chat, my last gift to them: appreciate the clarity. Now I know who you really are. Cutting ties has never been easier. Then I deleted the chat, blocked Adrian, blocked Clara, blocked my parents. No goodbyes, no pleas for understanding. Just silence. But in that silence, rage began to rise. For years, I had been the dependable one, the fixer, the background noise to Adrian's golden boy spotlight. And now, stripped of everything, I realized something terrifying and liberating. I no longer had anything to lose. The days after I cut them off felt like wandering through some twisted dream. I lived out of boxes in my friend's spare room, half my belongings still crammed into my car because I couldn't face unpacking. I scrolled endlessly through my phone, trying to distract myself, but every image, every memory, seemed poisoned by their faces. And yet, beneath the fog of heartbreak, something else was growing. Anger. The kind that doesn't scream or break things, but burns slow, steady, waiting for the right moment to ignite. I started replaying my entire life, realizing this betrayal wasn't born in a vacuum. My parents had been training me for this role since childhood, the dependable one, the reliable son, the fixer. Adrian was the golden boy, the one they showcased to the world, while I was the insurance policy, the quiet safety net. When bills needed paying, when something broke, when responsibility came calling, it was always me. I was the one who signed my name on their rental property when Adrian couldn't qualify. I was the one who got stuck covering debts, patching holes, keeping the machine running. And all the while, they fed me crumbs of approval while showering Adrian with applause. Clara sliding into his arms was just a final, cruel confirmation of what had always been true. I was never meant to matter. But here's the thing about being the forgotten son, you learn where all the cracks are. You know exactly what keeps the machine running, and you know how to stop it. I didn't want petty revenge. I wasn't about to slash tires or throw fists. No, I wanted them to feel the weight of losing me, not my love, not my presence, but my labor, my silence, my quiet compliance. The things they depended on without ever saying thank you. And so, I began to dig. I opened old emails, dusty files, lease agreements with my name stamped across them like a brand I'd worn too long. I pulled up the messages where Clara promised to pay me back for furniture, deposits, plans that now lay in ashes. And I started making a list, not of grudges, but of debts. Debts they owed me in money, in loyalty, in respect. They thought I would just vanish, that I'd let them dance on my grave while they built their fantasy life. They forgot the most important thing about me. I don't disappear. I drafted an email to my parents, cold and sharp. I was withdrawing from the property. They had 45 days to buy me out, or it would hit the market. For Adrian, that meant eviction. For my parents, it meant financial chaos. For Clara, I collected every promise, every screenshot, and turned it into a neat little packet of proof. She owed me, and I wanted it paid in full. And I didn't stop there. I began sharing receipts with mutual friends, the ones being fed Adrian's narrative that I had somehow checked out. No shouting, no rage, just facts. Cold, undeniable, humiliating facts. And when I finally pressed send, when the first domino tipped, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Missed calls. Desperate texts. Voices that once dismissed me as nothing now scrambling to keep me from pulling the strings. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I felt it, control. The golden boy's kingdom was shaking, and I was the one bringing it down. The fallout was immediate. Within minutes of sending my notice about the property, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My father called over and over, each attempt more frantic than the last. I let them all go to voicemail. Then came the texts, first my mother, dripping with venom about how I always ruin things for everyone, then Adrian, trying to sound tough but reading more like a cornered animal. Finally, I picked up one of my father's calls, mostly out of curiosity. His voice cracked between anger and desperation. "Nathan, this is childish. You're tearing the family apart. I let him rant before I cut him off with one calm sentence. I'm done being your free pass. 45 days, or it goes to market. The silence on the other end was sweeter than anything I'd ever heard. Of course, they didn't stop there. Adrian showed up at my friend's apartment like a stalker, pounding on the door, shouting my name loud enough to rattle the walls. My friend told him to leave, but Adrian shoved his way in, puffing out his chest as if that would intimidate me. He barked, "You're not ruining my life over this," and shoved me in the hallway. I shoved him back without hesitation, and for a split second, I saw the mask slip. The golden boy rattled for the first time in his life. My friend forced him out, slamming the door behind him, but I knew then the illusion was cracking. Adrian wasn't untouchable anymore. Clara tried a different approach. I sent her the proof of what she owed me, every screenshot, every "I'll pay you back soon" message. Her reply was a single line, "Wow, you're really being this petty?" I didn't argue, didn't explain. I just attached the payment summary and told her I'd take her to court if she ignored it. A week later, the money appeared in 2 transactions, followed by the inevitable block from her number. Cowardice disguised as closure. Meanwhile, the family machine went into overdrive. My cousin Margaret reached out, playing messenger for my mother, chirping about how I needed to let this go for the sake of peace. I told her flatly, "I'm done playing family mascot." She accused me of making things weird, and I reminded her, I wasn't the one kicked out, remember? That ended the conversation. My parents tried the guilt angle, sending long texts about family values, old photo albums, childhood memories. I ignored them all. For once in my life, I wasn't their audience. And then came the collapse. The property hit the market, a bright for sale sign planted in front of their crumbling illusion. Adrian begged me, practically whining, "I'll pay rent, just stop this." I told him the truth he never wanted to hear, "You've mooched long enough. Figure it out like a grown man." My parents caved under the pressure, their perfect little side hustle slipping through their fingers, their golden child forced out of his freeloading paradise. Clara walked away too, retreating to her old life once the spotlight dimmed. The irony wasn't lost on me. I hadn't screamed, hadn't thrown a single punch, hadn't broken a single law. I had simply stopped being useful. And that was enough to bring their castle crashing down. When the property finally sold, the fallout was almost comical. Adrian, stripped of his free ride, scrambled from couch to couch, wearing out his welcome wherever he landed. Clara cut ties completely, whispering to mutual friends that Adrian was a fraud and that my mother was unbearable. My parents, once so smug in their golden child fantasy, now flooded my phone with desperate calls and endless emails, pages of guilt, accusations, pleas to come home. I ignored every single one. For years, they had made it clear I was disposable, and now they finally had to live without me. My father even showed up once, standing outside my new apartment like some deranged preacher, shouting my name as if I'd come crawling back. I didn't answer. My silence was louder than anything I could have said. My mother tried the emotional theater, sobbing voicemails, dramatic lines about family bonds, but it all rang hollow. They weren't mourning me. They were mourning the collapse of their illusion, the loss of their fixer, their scapegoat, their invisible son. And the strangest thing was the quiet that followed. For the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for someone else's approval, or bracing myself for the next demand, or cleaning up after Adrian's disasters. My circle had shrunk to almost nothing, just a handful of people who didn't expect me to bleed for them. And in that silence, I felt something I had never known in my family's house, peace. Not joy, not healing, not yet. Just the absence of chaos. Do I forgive them? No. Do I miss them? Not even a little. Blood ties don't excuse betrayal. Family isn't defined by who shares your last name, it's defined by who shows up, who protects you, who respects you. My parents failed me. Adrian destroyed me. Clara betrayed me. And I let all of them go. I don't know what comes next. Maybe nothing dramatic, no grand revenge or sudden happiness. Maybe just days that belong to me for once. Maybe just silence that I can finally call mine. And if anyone thinks that's too harsh, let them. They didn't live in my skin, they didn't choke on the lies I was fed. Sometimes the only way to win is to walk away and never look back. And that's exactly what I've done.
Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, shocked you, or simply made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, your thoughts, your story, your truth. Subscribe for more raw, real, and unforgettable confessions. And if this story made you feel seen, share it. Someone else might need to hear it too. You're not alone here. This channel is a safe space for those who've been betrayed, broken, and rebuilt.